Good morning and welcome to Tangle Time Arts. My name is Nana Heron and I'm a certified Zentangle teacher. I am excited to be here today as we're working through Inktober Tangles and we are on day 15 already. So we're almost halfway through. I don't know where the time went, but this has been super fun. A big shout out to Stephanie Jennifer for putting this all together. And if you don't have your handout yet, the information's in the description and you can visit her site and still get the handout. Um, all right, so day 15 is this interesting tangle here, Tofube by Damy. I don't know if I pronounced those right, so I'm sorry if I did not. But what I love about this is like it's almost like printa, but with pointy corners, and it almost looks kind of squishy like a marshmallow. All right, let's get started. So sometimes I like to just get back to basics. Yes, I love working with gel pens and metallic gel pens and glitter gel pens and colored pencils, all of that. But sometimes I like to just go back to basics, and this is going to be one of those very basic tiles. You will need a black pen, a number two pencil, a tortillon, and a white tile or any type of white paper, computer paper, sketchbook, whatever you have. All right. We are going to start off with a hexagon shape. I'm going to pencil it in. Uh, I usually just go straight for the pen, but sometimes it can be really intimidating to get started. So we're just going to use our pencil and put in those six sides for our hexagon. It's probably about 2 inches across, right? It doesn't have to be exact or anything like that. And once you have that in, then we're going to take our pen and just go over that. Some of you don't actually need to do the pencil part, but I know it can be a little scary sometimes just to put anything on the paper. And because this one, we don't need to start with the dots in the corner and connecting them. We're just going straight to our center project. Um, Sometimes it's easier to start with a little pencil line as our string, and then we just ink over that. Once we have that in place, we are just going to divide that in half. And then, so we have two sections, and we're going to divide each of those in half, roughly in half. We're going to rotate a little bit and cut this in half again, and then divide each of these two sections. I'm going to rotate this way so it's a little easier for me. So we're pretty much dividing in half and then dividing in half. All right, so we get this kind of cool setup with the diamond shapes. And what I'm particularly interested in are these groups of four. And we have two of them. We'll deal with the triangle shapes a little bit later. But for this tangle pattern, the Tofube, we are just going to focus on a group of four to begin with. And we are going to put in kind of like this, almost like a backwards rita, but we're not going tightly in. Once we have a shape like that, we are going to then go to our next one. We can either go down or across. So I am just going to start on the one under it. I'm rotating the swirl a little bit like that. Then I'm going to go across and I'm rotating the swirl a little bit again. I'm calling it a swirl. because that's what works best for me to remember it. And then we're going to rotate a little bit more again. So we're starting on each of the sides. All right. And then once we have that in, we're going to add, they're kind of like points. So I'll start on the inside, and they're kind of like adding little points or little corners. So it's not rounded, it's more pointed. And each of the corners gets a little bit of a point. And when you come back to where you started, you kind of round that off. And working your way around, you're rounding these corners. And we're going to do that for each of our little squares here. So we're gonna put in almost like a triangle at the end, and then little points. Please feel free to rotate your tile so that it's comfortable for you. Um, and you can rotate it at any time. You don't have to hold it at the same angle that I do. Round off the end, and then round off each of these corners. Moving over to our next one. So we've got this kind of point, like triangular point on the end, and then this pointiness for each of the corners. It's interesting that it's pointy and not rounded. And then where we began, we kind of round that off. And then we work our way around the square shape, adding some little rounding to the corners. So it contrasts with the pointiness. We've got rounding, and then we've got points. And we've got one more here, like that. I'm going to skip over to this set of 4 here because these are 4 squares, and we'll deal with our little triangles at the end. And we're going to duplicate what we did up here. So we'll put this in, and then we'll do this one. It's a little squished for me. Like that. All right. And then again, we're going to add our points. Points are pretty small. Rounding this off. We can work our way around this way this time. Just rounding off my corners. And if you don't want to work from the inside out, we can definitely go from the outside in. Put our points on. Yeah. So you can see we have this kind of almost roundedness in these areas because we're rounding these corners, and it gives it that kind of squishy look. And if you need to go back and make adjustments like this, you can go back in and do some extra rounding. Got all of those. Add some rounding here. And then go in with my points. So you can decide whether you want to work with rounding your corners first or whether you want to add your points to the swirl part. They kind of remind me of little thorns, actually. They're a little, yeah, maybe they're a little thorny. I kind of like that idea. All right, now we're going back to this section. So we don't have four. We don't have four squares, but we're going to kind of keep the same rotation that we had. This one, starting on the upper left corner, started here and swirled in. So we're going to do that with this too, but it's only a triangle shape. So we're going to go like that. And then down here, we have a square like we had here. So I'm just going to repeat that. And now over here, we have a triangle instead of a square, but it starts from down here. So I'm going to still start from down here, but make that into a triangle shape. Okay. I'm going to rotate a little bit so that it's easier for me. And around these corners. Add some points, thorns, and around that. Finish rounding that off like that. And then the points. So you can work in any order that feels right for you. And then we have this section of two triangles and a square there. So again, we're gonna look at our original set of four, and this one started on this edge, so this edge. So I'm gonna do that with a triangle shape. We're missing this one, so we're not gonna worry about that. We'll come over here to this one, um, and it started here, so I'm going to, and don't get too caught up in where it starts. You can alternate as you would like. Um, but I'm just keeping it pretty simple following the example. So going in and rounding these corners. I do like rounding the corners first, but you might like to do that last. And it's kind of easy to get lost in the rounding and the pointiness. So there is a little bit of focus definitely required for this one. Make that a little more rounded there. And let's see. I think this might be the last one. It's pretty small, so I'll do the best I can. All right, I think we have our shapes in there. And with this one, I kind of like to go back and just make sure everything is nicely rounded. And kind of, if I need to go back and retrace some of the lines, just making sure there's a nice roundedness to the corners. This really kind of helps to pull it all together. All right. So once we have that tangle in, I feel like it needs something around it. So I'm just going to go in with one of my favorite go-to tangles, which is Dragonair by Norma Burnell. That's with two L's, and she's a CZT as well. And Dragonair is, it looks so fancy, but it's really simple and elegant. So pick any corner, and we're going to start with a fescue type of shape. Just come up as a line, curve around, and add a little ball on the end. I'm going to do that for each corner, actually, keeping in mind that they should be roughly the same length. So I'm putting one in at each corner. No need to measure them though. Don't get too caught up in that. And then I'm also putting one in the middle. So we kind of already have that marked where the middles are. All right, so we have that all marked. And now comes the fun part. I like to make sure that these are pronounced enough. So if you need to, like I'm doing, like go back in and make them a little more pronounced, go right ahead. So now is the super fun part. We are going to, you can start on anywhere around here. I'll start right here in the upper right hand corner. So we have this round little ball on the top of our fescue shape. We're going to kind of go around that, then come off of that, swing outside and come back in. So it's actually like an S shape. And then we'll go to the next one. So we're rotating as we go. And you get this really lovely ruffled type of edge. And you just keep doing one after another, enjoying the process and working your way around. Can work as quickly or as slowly as you want. It's not a contest. So we made our way all the way around. What would be kind of cool with this one is to you can go back in and kind of aura your original shape there. Just to add a little more detail if if that's what you would like to do. It's not required. So I think it looks best coming down more to a point. But if you like to come straight down, you can do that too. Like that. And another thing you could do if you would like to do is you could add a little bit of weight to the base of these to kind of match what we did with the Tofube pattern tangle, like that. It just makes it look a little more finished, but It's up to you. It's again, it's optional. I think we're all the way around. So we have this lovely kind of ruffled border around it. One of my favorite tangles to add, especially if I'm working late at night and I'm like, oh, what should I add? Often it's going to be Dragonair. All right, now we can set our pen aside and pick up our pencil, and we're going to do a little bit of shading here. So what I like to do is just, you can pick any of them really. Um, let's start with this one up here. And along the ink line, I'm just adding some graphite, working my way in. So again, starting with the ink line that we previously drew, adding a little bit of graphite and working my way in. And you can do these in any order. I'm gonna rotate a little bit. So I'm always adding graphite along the line at the point where we started. All right, I think we made it all the way around. I'm going to add some graphite on the inside of, well, it's the inside of our hexagon. Let's put it that way. And I'm going all the way around on the edge, like that. Then I also want to add some to this area right next to our original fescue lines. Some people like to add it on the other side of the fescue lines, but I like to add it here where it looks like it's kind of underneath. But whatever you would prefer is awesome. I'm going to add some all the way along the outside as well. And then we'll do a little blending and decide if we want to add a little more. Again, we're just focusing on our basic skills here, enjoying the process with the original black and white. I'm adding a little bit of pressure with this because I know I want to have this quite dark. Normally I would say go in lighter, but I already know that I'd like this to be quite dark. So once I have enough graphite down, I am going to take my tortilla and I'm going to just start on the inside of and go all the way around the hexagon on all 6 sides. And once you have that done, you can pick any of them and just blend out those edges. And it's really the shading that helps give it that kind of puffy or squishy look that I was talking about earlier. All right, so that is shaded in. And all we have to do is, well, before we do that, let's do these inside the Dragonair. And Dragonair is also, it's a fun one to add colored pencil to. I'm not going to do it today, but if that's something you would like to add to this, you go right ahead because often I'll add a little bit of colored pencil to it and it looks really awesome. Now we're just going to blend around the outside. Always start close to your ink line. Sometimes it's a back and forth motion and sometimes it's a more circular motion, just depending on what you're working on. For this one right now, I'm pretty much going back and forth. Start at the ink line, and as I work, I'm kind of pulling it towards me this way, okay? And as I pull it towards me, it gets lighter. So it should be darker close to the ink line and then lighter as you get away from it. All right, we made it all the way around. We have this sweet tile here with just our basic skills. And like I said, sometimes it's really fun for me to go back and just really focus on using the ink and the graphite and the shading, the blending, and just enjoying that whole process. You don't need a lot of equipment to enjoy Zentangle. If you've got some paper, a black pen, a pencil, and even a Q-tip, you can definitely enjoy this art. All right, let's put our let's put our initials on there. And if you want to go back in, and I'm really tempted, like I would add some gel pen or glitter there and probably a little bit of colored pencil. Um, I'm really, really tempted, but I'm going to keep it simple. And I think for this one, I am again just going to put my initials in the corner. But there are plenty of places where you could work it in to either tangle. Um, Sometimes it helps to hold it up at arm's length and to rotate it, and you can decide better where you would like to put your initials. All right. So sweet and simple. Um, okay. Let's fill this out. I like to put my name and the date and the event. Inktober Tangles 2024. Of course, it's day number 15 because October 15. And we had Tofube. So I'm not 100% on the pronunciation, but I'm just pronounce it Tofube, but there might be other ways to pronounce that. And that is by Damy, Damy or Damy, CZT. And then we also had, so this was our focus tangle, but we did a border of Dragonair. So I'm going to put that on here too, so we don't forget. Because sometimes you put your tiles away and then you come back and you think, oh, I really like that. What was it? So it's good to have it on the back side here. And that is by Norma, Burnell, and she's also a CZT. All right, cool. Day 15, very simple, very sweet, good practice with shading, and perfect for beginners. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you for tomorrow, day 16, and we'll be definitely more than half done. Awesome. Have a great day. Stay safe. And remember, I love you guys. Bye.